Alright gamers, welcome back to part 2 of your wonderful RPG Google Sheets experience. So as you can see, since the last time I've done this, I have made some wonderful improvements on my stat sheet, and hopefully yours looks a little better as well. So obviously this number is very accurate, and I didn't do it for the purposes of just showing you how it works. Alright, so in this video we're going to cover how to make a nice little inventory sheet here, and you see I have a little description. Inventory equals the number of items you can buy. Once bought or consumed, you'll press this button next to it. So for example, let's say I have, of course, gone to bed on time 100 times in a row. So I would have maybe, let's say, $100 to spend on a nice little shop here. And so you'll notice at the bottom I have a nice little sheet called Shop. So I can click onto it and spend my hard-earned cash here that I've gotten from every single level up. So the way to use or buy stuff from the shop is you would just go to this nice little item selection here, buy the thing you want. If I wanted a new pair of Lightning McQueen Heelys, like I was saying, I will click it. And I now have Heelys, and you'll see it's subtracted from my total here. Wonderful. Say I wanted some boba as well. I could buy a boba. Nice. It subtracts the value. And if I want to buy this game for $60, you'll notice I do not have enough to buy it. If I click this button, nothing would happen because I don't have enough money. So I could just keep buying boba if I wanted to. Something else cool I did here is if you swap back to your OG screen, so you have, let's say, 3 redeemable boba vouchers here. So, oh, finally I've earned enough to buy myself a wonderful, tasty green tea matcha boba. Once I've gone to the store and actually redeemed my wonderful reward, you could just come back to your sheet, click it, and now you only have 2 left to use, which is pretty cool. So, like I said, this is good for keeping track of your rewards, or if you were, say, making this for a D&D character, you can keep track of, like, your inventory, how many things or how many potions you've used, etc. Things like that for my fellow gamers. And let's get into how to make this yourself. So bringing back our wonderful Shrek sheet, Jesus, from last time. Of course, you have all this wonderful skills you've just coded, your HP, whatever, your name, awesome. So you could start making your sheet off to the side or your new inventory list, which is what I did. The first thing you're going to want, obviously, is a redeemable money value. So let's say for Shrek, he doesn't deal in dollars, he deals in onions. So I'm going to write onions up here, and I'm going to want to put a monetary amount, probably, let's start at 0 onions. You can also format this wonderful box so that it has that nice little dollar value you just saw pop up. If you go to Formats and Numbers, right away you'll see there are some currency values here for you. If you click on Custom Currency, you can actually pick a bunch of different monetary values for you. They have like Japanese yen on here, they got won, whatever you want to use. For my purposes, I just like to keep it on the currency rounded because I don't really want to deal with adding cents to everything. Like add 50 cents every time you level up is going to get kind of annoying. So I just keep it on rounded. That way it adds exactly one whole dollar and it just doesn't show the cents. So this is the stuff you are going to want to be redeeming after all your hard work. So let's say for Shrek's purposes, with his hard-earned onions, he wants to buy some waffles off his friend Donkey. Maybe he also wants to buy a nice keep out sign to keep people away from his swamp. Say keep out sign. There we go. And of course you can adjust this as needed, center, however you want to deal with it. Alright, and of course you're gonna want to keep track of how many you have of each of your items. So you can just add a column for the number you have, and of course we're going to set those to 0 for the moment. Alright, very nice. Okay, so you'll notice I also named this sheet Shrek at the bottom here. And the reason we're doing that is because when we code it, we're actually going to have to grab the name of the sheet in order to grab these cells specifically. Because our shop, if you notice on my old one here, is on its own sheet. That's why we have to rename the first sheet so that we can grab the values here. So the money you have and the number of each item that you have. And I'll explain that in a little bit, of course. So you're going to want to click the plus here, and you're going to want to add stuff to your shop. So you're going to want to have the item, right? You're going to want to have the cost of each item. So you put price here, cost, whatever you want to do. And of course, I'm going to change this so my wonderful eyes can enjoy the beauty of Comic Sans. And here we are. So I'm just going to write the same things of the items from the other sheet. So we got waffles here, right? Waffles, of course. And we have our wonderful keep out sign. All right. So, and then I had the price of $5. And we had the $10. Beautiful. Okay, there we go. And once again, you can change the price of stuff. So let's, I'm just putting 5 and 10. So of course you can change the price to whatever you want. I'm just saying 5 and 10 just for this example here. And once again, you can format it however you like. Let's say to my currency rounded, and you can just drag the little box down if you don't want to go through the menu again. Change the monetary value that way. All right. Just change this to Comic Sans for real. Thank you. Here we are. Okay, nice. Okay, so now that you have your items and your prices for your shop, I like to keep a copy of what's currently in my inventory so that I don't have to keep switching back and forth between these two sheets. And let me just extend this so we can read the beautiful sign price there. Okay, so like I said, we're just going to copy this. If you just copy this by itself though, for example, I just copy our beautiful little sheet here and I just pop it, let's say next to it. The problem is, besides this wonderful formatting error I had here, the problem with this is that the money you get will not be updated when you gain levels on the sheet. So say I got my rotten onions up, right? So let's say I leveled up and I want to give myself $1 as a reward, right? So the dollar would go up here, but it wouldn't go up on, it wouldn't go up on this page here. So I'll show you right now what I mean by that. So if I clicked for example, if I had $5 here, you'll notice on your second sheet, it doesn't update your current amount, right? So to change that, it's really simple. You just got to set all of these equal to the value on your first sheet. So our first sheet's name, for my purposes, is Shrek. So whatever it's called, sheet 1, whatever you named it. So you have to put that name in parentheses or apostrophes. So I'm gonna write Shrek here. And you have to include an exclamation mark. No. Okay, and then you gotta include an exclamation mark and the name of the box that you're grabbing from. So let's see, my money is kept in, or my onions is in G2. So I would put this box equal to G2. And if you did it correctly, it should turn orange. Just click enter and you'll see it is that $5. So if I changed it on my original sheet here, you see 10, for example. So I have 10 onions. Sheet 2, or my shop here, should have 10 onions. Perfect, okay? You also probably want to do the same thing for your inventory so you keep track of how much you have on that sheet. So my inventory here, the number of stuff is in I2 and I3. So I just go here and I would make this the same thing. We do equal to our wonderful Shrek, and we'll have it the I2 and I3. So we got I2, very nice, and I3. And I believe you can just drag this nice little corner square down for you, and it'll set this to I3 automatically. Perfect. Okay, so now we have the basic setup here. You could rename this sheet if you want to as well. I just like to call it shop, whatever you would like. And you can just add some colors, and that's the first part just for the setup. Very cool. Oh, it's just taking a second to load. That's so bizarre. Whatever. Alright, okay, now that you've customized everything, we are going to jump back into the absolutely smexy part of this video, which is, of course, your favorite, the coding. So, I'm going to run over the quick preview of the code we're going to run into today, which is pretty easy, actually. And I'm going to do the same thing I did last time, just copy and paste and explain. So we have two different sections here. It's going to be the inventory, so that's keeping track of what is currently here, what's been used, etc. that I showed earlier. And we're going to have the second part, which is the shop, which is buying everything on there. And I'm actually going to start with the shop because we need to have stuff in our inventory to use, right, before we can consume it, etc. Okay, so we're going to run in there, go to extensions, open your good old Shrek code, whatever you called it last time. Okay, so you could just add the functions at the top, bottom, whatever you prefer. Doesn't really matter. And we're going to start a brand new function. So, like I said, we're going to start with the shop first. So maybe I want to start out by redeeming some of my wonderful 10 onions I have here with some waffles. So I'm going to call this maybe buy waffles. Right, you're going to have it void, and you're just going to add those wonderful brackets there. Okay, so the first part of our code is pretty simple. We are just doing the same stuff that we've always done before. Let me add a little extra space so we don't get too confused. We're just going to get the box that has our money in it. So we're actually doing a little bit different this time. We're getting the sheet by its name. So not our active spreadsheet by itself, but we're getting the sheet by name. And the reason for that is because our shop, right, is on a separate spreadsheet than where the monetary value actually is. So you'll see this is where it's actually stored. This is where our 10 is, right? On our shop page, remember, this is just a copy of our G2 from our other page. So we need to not get our active spreadsheet, which is the shop page. We need to grab our first Shrek page here, which is why we're adding that in the code. So you'll see it's get sheet by name, and you'll put the name of your first sheet. So it's not my stats, this is going to be called Shrek. And of course, you're going to get the range where that box is. So you're going to grab your money. So I'm going to call this onions, dollars, whatever you would like. So I'm going to set my onions in my onions amount here. And it's going to equal to onions get value. And wherever your onions range is. On our first page, my onions are stored in G2, so I'm gonna pop them in G2 for our range. G2 and G2. Okay, second thing we're gonna need when we are buying our waffles, which I have spelled correctly as usual, is we're gonna need to see how many waffles we actually have at the moment. So right now I have 0 waffles, but say you had 1 in there. If you bought another waffle, you need to add 1 to this value, right? So you need to grab this box as well, which is in I2. So you're just gonna do the same thing. You can copy this wonderful code that we know how to do by now and just paste it there. And so you're not gonna call this onions, you're gonna call this whatever the new item you want is. I'm gonna call this waffles, and I'm gonna call this my waffles amount. I'm gonna get the value of my waffles, right? We've done this before. And I'm getting it from that same first page, right? And like I said, it's gonna be in our I2, or wherever the heck you put it, your number. Okay, the number of waffles that you have. You don't want the name of the waffles, you want the number of waffles that you have, which is I2 for me. Okay, great, so we've grabbed our values that we need. Okay, so when we buy our waffles, we also need to check if we have enough money to buy this item, right? So for my purposes, my waffles are $5, so I'm gonna need to check if I have enough money. Okay, so what you're gonna do, as I'm copying and pasting my perfect code, you're gonna check the amount of onions or dollars or whatever you've had, if it matches, if you have enough to buy that item. Okay, so I'm gonna check my onions amount to be less than 5. So if I have 5, this right here will not activate. So let's say I have $4, which is not enough to buy my waffles, okay? So it will return, and what return does, if you remember from before, we did it in our add once. So remember when I was adding 1, right? I basically added 1, and then I returned the new amount with the added one. So, right, if I put 5 in here, this would return 6. But return by itself will just kick you out of your buying waffles function. So it won't let you buy anything, is what it'll do. So this is just checking if you have enough money to purchase your waffle. Okay, perfect. So after we've checked if we have enough money to buy it, you're going to start the purchase. All right, so what you're going to do is you're going to set your value of your onions. So you're going to do onions.setValue, and you're going to subtract the money you've just spent on your waffles. So once again, if your waffles or whatever cost 10, you would change this to 10, and you subtract 10 from your dollar amount, okay, for your onions. That's what this is doing. And the last thing we got to do is, of course, add it to your inventory. So, right, so you're just going to add this nice little line here, and you're going to set that value. Remember we grabbed before your waffles. So you're going to do waffles, and you're going to set that value to add 1. And that's it. Like I said, this is actually a lot simpler than our other code, like if you compare it to our fat functions from before. All right. Okay, so all you have to do is just save this, and we'll see if it works. All right, so same thing as last time. You're going to code some beautiful buttons in order to buy the stuff from the website, right? So you can add a button right here. I like to add it just so, you know, you see the item, the price, and then a button to buy it, basically, and it should change the number over here. So what you're going to do is go to Insert, right? And we're going to do what we did last time, image. We're going to do image over the cells, right? We're going to Google image search because we love finding wonderful Shrek pictures from this. And we got some beautiful selection, as you can see. I really like this wonderful depiction. Here we go, wonderful. I'm just gonna shrink that down a little bit. I'm gonna pop him in place. We're gonna zoom in. We're gonna make him nice and snug in his little thing. We're gonna click on these nice little ellipses here, and we're gonna assign this script for our waffles. So I'm gonna click buy waffles here. Okay, and now if I click on this, it will purchase a waffle for me. So you see, I spent the $5, let's subtract 5 and added 1 to my inventory. Perfect. And you'll see it is the same on this page. Perfect. So let's try it again. So if I click it again, I should have 2 waffles, right? And $0. So let's say I tried to buy it when I have no onions. Nothing will happen, you see? So I cannot go into the negative because of that beautiful little if statement that we added in the middle. Okay, so if you have multiple items in your inventory, so for us, we have our keep out sign. You're just going to copy and paste our best friend, as usual. And you're just going to change a couple things. So maybe you change the name to by keep out. And remember to keep this lowercase, just so it doesn't turn pink. And you're just going to change the value. So your onions will stay exactly the same, right? Because your where you grab the money is the same. But where you're grabbing the amount for your keep out sign, you'll see, is actually going to be wherever your number 2 item is. So this is going to be I3 for me. So I just got to change this to I3. I3. And there you go. Okay, so like I said last time, you don't have to change the variable names, but I like to change it just so if I wanted to, you know, check it later. Oh, this is getting keep out, not waffles, right? Because this is where my keep out sign is located. So I'm gonna call this keep out, make sure everything is changed. Perfect. All right, and you're gonna have to also change how much the item costs. See, if all your items cost the same amount, if they're all 5, you could just keep using this buy waffles for every single item, and then just change where the inventory is being kept, right? Just change the I3 and leave this alone. But for our purposes, right, our keep out sign is $10. So I'm gonna have to change this to 10. Change this to 10 as well. And just change these, make sure they all match. This should be keep out. We don't want to add to the waffles, right? keep out, and we gotta set this to keep out. And we should be good to go. Okay, grab keep out, check if we have enough money, subtract the correct amount of money, and then add it in. Okay, so we're gonna save this. Wonderful. And I'm just gonna copy our beautiful little goblin there. Just gonna move him into the box if I can manage it. Perfect. And we're gonna assign him a new script, which is our by keep out. And click OK. Perfect. And so when I click on this, let's give ourselves some money actually so we can buy it. Let's say I have $20 now to buy my 2 keep out signs. So when I click on this, it should go, give me 1, subtracts 10, perfect. And I should have 2, subtracts 10, perfect. And if I click it again, it will not allow me to buy any because I don't have enough money. Perfect. Okay, so that's how we do that. Okay, the next thing for part 2 is if you actually use your inventory here. Okay, so let's see, function, let's call it use. So I'm gonna have waffles first, right? So let's see, we can call it waffles used. Okay, because I'm gonna be using my waffles, obviously. It's gonna be another void one. We're not taking anything into this one. And here we are. All right, so for this function, right, like I said, is you're just gonna check and basically be subtracting one of these waffles. It's like, oh great, I redeemed a waffle from the shop. Now I'm gonna actually eat it, so I shouldn't still have 2 waffles here, right? I'm gonna have to subtract 1 from this. Of course you can manually subtract 1, but why would I do that when I have these awesome buttons I could use instead? So you're gonna wanna grab this box, which is the same code as we've done before. But remember, since we're on this sheet, okay, this first sheet, when we use our waffle, right? Oops. So since we're on this sheet when we use our waffle, our button's gonna be right here once we've consumed it. You don't have to add that extra line that we added before of the get sheet by name. You could, but you don't have to because you'll be on that sheet anyway. So once again, you just wanna grab your amount of waffles, which is going to be my I2 for me. So it's going to be I2. And this is I2. And you're just going to change the amount. So I'm going to change this to my waffle variable, my waffle amount. And I'm just going to get the value of how many waffles I have that I can use. Perfect. All right, next thing we're gonna do to see if we can use our waffles is see if we can even use any. So if I have 0 waffles, then I wouldn't need to subtract or use any, right? So we have to check if our waffles are less than 0. So let's check. If our waffles are less than or equal to 0, right? We should just be kicked out of this function. So we shouldn't be able to use any waffles at all, right? Perfect. And of course, the last thing we have to do, pretty simple. We're just going to subtract 1. That's it from our waffle amount because we're using it. Very simple code. And we're going to do waffle minus 1. There you go. All right, so we're going to save this, of course. And make sure your waffle matches. You see this? I put waffles amount, but it just says waffle here. So make sure that these match, or else it's gonna be like, what are you saying? Okay, set value. So we're gonna save that. And that should be golden. Okay. All right, so same thing. We're just going to insert our buttons on this side of the sheet. So we're gonna do overcells, gonna grab a beautiful Shrek PNG that we love. Maybe I want to use this wonderful image when I have eaten my waffles. Oh, beautiful. Just gonna shrink that to fit in my wonderful... Oh, he's going negative again. Wonderful, I've missed you, buddy. Ah, we love being in dark mode. Just have him sit in T-pose in the air. Perfect. Alright, and we're just gonna do the same thing. We're gonna assign the script, and we called this... What do we call it? Our waffles used. So waffles used. All right. Click OK. Okay, so if we click this, you'll see the waffles have disappeared. Oh my god. We've consumed both our waffles, we now have 0. And if I click it again while I have 0 waffles, you'll see nothing happens. And that's exactly as it should. So I'll copy another nice little ghost Shrek there. We'll pop in below. Just let me align the boys. There we go. And we're just gonna code this second one in our inventory. So it's the exact same code, very simple. I'm just gonna copy paste for our next one. For our keep out sign, let's just do, I don't think you'd really use a keep out sign personally, but you could keep out, used, and of course we're gonna set this to I3, where our wonderful keep out sign is, or wherever you put it. And you can just rename all these wonderful things. I'm just gonna call them keep because I'm feeling a little lazy to type out the whole thing. We got keep. Remember, change all these. Keep. And then you gotta check your keep amount. And set this to... Alright, and you gotta change this one as well. Alright, these are all set. Perfect. We're gonna save this. Nice. And then you just set your next beautiful Shrek here to your new script, which is keep used. Did I write keep out used? Keep out used. Okay, keep out used. Alright, perfect. And see, when I click on this nice little ghosty, it should subtract for us. Yay, I've used my keep out sign. Somehow they have been reduced to atoms. Awesome. Let me just add a color here so I can view these beautiful little boys. There we go. Nice. But I think last time, when you level up, it doesn't actually add money to you because we didn't have this there before. So if you want to add money when you level up, then you'd have to add some extra stuff in our old code, okay? Okay, so you're gonna find your old level up function. You see here? In our old level up, what we did, right, is we just reset the XP value back to 0, right? And then we add 1 to our level. But now we wanna add money. So you're going to add these 3 wonderful lines. So, once again, I'm working with onions, not bocos. I'm gonna change this to onions, my onions amount, of course. And I'm gonna change this to onions, wonderful. And I'm gonna change these to onions as well. And this is also gonna be onions. All right. Okay, so, what you're doing is going to your current spreadsheet, right? You're finding out, once again, where your onions are, or your money. So, as we've seen many times, it's just the same line over and over again, basically. It's in G2, so I'm gonna change this to wonderful G2. Nice. Very nice. Great. And I'm just gonna get the current value of our onions, right? And I'm just gonna add 1. So if you wanted to change it, maybe you wanted to gain $10 every level up, then you could just change this value instead of 1. You change it to 10 or 15, however much you want to gain. So let's say I wanted to get $10 for every level up. You'll just save that and it should give you money. And let us test our beautiful functions that we've made. Okay, so let's say my onions have leveled up. Let's say I'm 1 away from leveling up, or 2. I would click this button from last time. We're at 9, perfect. We're at 10, great. You'll see your level will go up, your stats will go up, and your money will go up as well. How cool is that? Let's watch it one more time, boys. So we're at 9. We level up, our stats go up, and our money goes up. How nice is that? Wonderful. And with my newly earned money, I can run over to the shop. I can purchase it with these beautiful buttons here. Say I want a nice keep out sign for myself. Wonderful, it updates. And our 2 waffles with my remaining money. Ooh, delicious, what a good time. And once I've wonderfully redeemed my awesome stuff at the shop, I will immediately eat my 2 waffles because, delicious waffles. And I will break my keep out sign as well. And that's how it works. See, a lot simpler than the first one once you've gotten through it. It's smooth sailing from there to add new stuff. Alright, thank you for watching, and I will see you Eventually, maybe. All right, bye-bye.